Some artists arrive at the right moment at the right time, others create their own time. Kate Bush never fit into the scene. She didn't follow movements, she built worlds. This episode isn't about trends or success cycles. It's about preparation, independence, family, and what happens when imagination is taken seriously early on. Kate Bush was born in 1958 in Bexley Heath, Kent, into a household where creativity was normal, not exceptional. Her father, Robert, was a medical doctor, but also a dedicated amateur pianist with a deep love for classical music. Her mother, Hannah, worked as a nurse and had grown up in Ireland, where she trained as a traditional Irish folk dancer. So music and movement weren't extracurricular activities, they were part of daily life. Kate studied piano and violin from a young age and regularly played music with her parents and two older brothers at home. One of them, Paddy, became especially important to her later work. Paddy was trained in violin and folk instrumentation, and from the very beginning he approached music as texture, atmosphere, and narrative rather than performance. This family environment meant that Kate Bush didn't grow up discovering music. She grew up inside it. By the age of 14, she was already writing her own songs, narrative, structured, and emotionally specific. This wasn't some phase, it was orientation. At 16, Kate Bush's home demos reached Pink Floyd's guitar player David Gilmour through a family connection, to be exact, a family friend. Gilmour immediately recognized that her talent was rare, but also unfinished. Instead of rushing her into the industry, EMI signed her and allowed her time to develop. So between 75 and 78, so for about 3 years, Kate Bush took formal vocal training, studied dance and mime under Lindsay Kemp, who also taught David Bowie. Kate learned to use her body as an expressive instrument and continued writing music intensively. So during that period, Paddy Bush was already quietly involved, experimenting with instrumental ideas, folk textures, and non-traditional sounds alongside her. Kate Bush didn't debut early, she prepared early. Unlike many artists of her generation, Kate Bush didn't follow a traditional academic path. She didn't attend university, she didn't study at the conservatory or formal music academy. She attended St. Joseph's Convent Grammar School in London, but by her mid-teens, her education was already being shaped around music, rather than separate from it. Instead of higher education, she pursued a self-directed apprenticeship-style learning path. Her studies focused on piano and violin, intensive songwriting, formal vocal technique, dance, and mime as narrative tools. She also didn't work conventional non-music jobs. From her teenage years onward, her time was devoted almost entirely to preparation, writing, rehearsing, experimenting, and learning. Kate Bush didn't reject education. She just simply redesigned it. In 1978, at just 19 years old, Kate Bush finally released The Kick Inside. The lead single, Wuthering Heights, inspired by Emily Bronte's was sung from the perspective of a ghost. To be exact, one of the protagonists, Katie. So a little bit similar names. Against the backdrop of punk-era Britain, its theatrical vocals and literary framing felt completely out of place and became a number 1 hit. So Kate Bush became the first female artist to reach number 1 with a self-written song. This wasn't rebellion, it was authorship. Following Lionheart, Kate Bush embarked on the Tour of Life in 1979. The tour was innovative, featuring choreography, narrative staging, costume changes, and early wireless microphones. But it was also physically and emotionally exhausting. After a tragic death within the touring crew and severe tiredness, Bush made a defining decision. She stopped touring, not temporarily, but for decades. Freed from touring, Kate Bush turned fully toward the studio. She became one of the first British artists to adopt the Fairlight CMI sampler, using it to record unconventional sounds, manipulate texture, and build rhythm as narrative. With Never Forever 1980 and especially the Dreaming 1982, which she produced entirely by herself, might I add. Bush pushed studio experimentation far beyond pop convention. During this period, Paddy became a consistent Quentin presence as well. He contributed with violin, didgeridoo, mandolin, and other folk and non-Western instruments. Most notably on the Dreaming and later works, his playing added ritualistic texture, rhythmic tension, and a sense of ancient or mythic atmosphere. Paddy Bush was never a session musician. He was part of the inner circle, someone Kate trusted to shape sound rather than decorate it. Released in 1985, Hounds of Love is widely considered her masterpiece. I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but for each their own. You need to find it out by yourself listening to the album. It's recorded largely in her home studio. The album explored fear, desire, intimacy, and psychological space. Running Up That Hill became her most internationally recognized work. Without simplifying her vision, complex inner worlds became audible. Kate Bush collaborated selectively, which is something I really love her for. Never for exposure, but always for resonance. Her duet, Don't Give Up, with Peter Gabriel, released in 1986 on So, was built on emotional symmetry, not publicity. And this is one of the songs that you really, 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 really need to listen. It speaks about a man who struggles with life and himself and has the fear that he will never be enough and he will fail surely. And then the female voice of Kate will give the comfort and reassurance that you have us, you're gonna be fine, and we're all gonna make it through it. In a way, also soulful song. But she collaborated also with Prince in 1991 on Why Should I Love You, allowing shared production input without surrendering authorship. Her work with Eric Clapton focused on guitar texture rather than virtuosity, serving emotion rather than spotlight. And also important mention Pink Floyd's David Gilmour, who remained an early supporter and collaborator, mentor, playing guitar on records and acting as a mentor long before her success. In every case, the center of gravity stayed with her. After Red Shoes in 1993, Kate Bush stepped away from public life for 12 years. She became a mother, lived privately, and slowed down. When she returned with Ariel in 2005, her themes had shifted toward domestic life, nature, and the passing of time. Patty Push again appeared on the album, contributing instrumentation that reinforced its organic, cyclical feeling. This wasn't a comeback, it was continuation. So, what does Kate do today? Today, Kate Bush lives a deliberately private life and rarely gives interviews or public appearances. But she communicates with fans almost exclusively through written messages on her official website, where her tone remains reflective, precise, and warm, but carefully pondered. She writes about gratitude for patience, the value of time and silence, and trust in the work itself. Also, lately, she had sad news about her close friend dying. So it's like a emotional journal for her in a way. She doesn't promise any new releases. She doesn't tease projects. If something is ready, it will surely arrive, and we all love her for that. Kate Bush shows us that discipline can protect imagination, absence can be powerful, and independence doesn't require urgency. It's never too early to build the vision, and never too late for others to discover it.